It's 1 minute. Did you get your tea at least?
No, I still have my bottle.
Why did you do that?
I got my bottle of water.
You could have gotten your tea.
It's all good. It's all fine. I promise you. Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Catt Chatt. My name is Tom Catt, and I am joined by the fabulous, the funny, the effervescent, the radiant, the wonderful, the creative, the talented, ThatJayJustice.
The chronically fatigued. The persistently struggle busing. Hopefully not lips and teeth. Oh Lord Jesus.
So if you're just joining us, Jay has been trying to struggle busing to upload to her Twitter. And it's a time, friends.
It's fine. It's fine. Totally fine.
So Jay and I found out, have been friends for roughly 4 to 5 years. And in that time, I have seen them grow into such a magnificent person.
Please say her, actually.
Please say her, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. She has grown into such a wonderful person. She was wonderful before, and you grow, you become better. And she is a cosplay advocate. She is a consultant for gaming companies and comic companies and literature companies. And I am very thankful and honored and humbled that you agreed to be on my show tonight. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so
welcome.
Sweet.
So
it's funny, people say things like cosplay advocate, and I'm like, I think that's kind of hilarious because it implies that cosplayers need advocacy, where it's like cosplay is a hobby. It's like saying, I'm a stamp collector advocate. I am advocating for the stamp collectors. Like, I'm here for the people who want to collect the stamp. Like, no, I'm an advocate for marginalized people. And I don't know what cosplayers are. No, I wasn't saying you. I'm just saying people try to combine the things that you are, things that you do.
Of course. Like
in a snappy way. And I'm like, I do enjoy a good cosplay here and there, but that is not the center of my advocacy. It's a thing I do for fun.
So why don't you tell us the center of your advocacy? I would love to hear it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely marginalized people, period. Like anyone who is not cis, anyone who's not able-bodied or white or male, and like depending on where you are in the world, you being a non-Christian can be something that is like marginalized because Christianity is so pervasive, and like there are countries where they don't even know what religion their people used to have because the missionaries came and everything was just gone after that. So I just feel like if your voice is kind of diminished because you're not,
if they weren't killed, they were colonized. If they weren't killed,
right, exactly. If your voice is being diminished because you're not a majority, I'm here for you. That's what I do,
and we are thankful for it. I'm trying to think of where we can start. So you started cosplaying, going to conventions around what time?
Oh, I've been going to conventions since like Big Apple Anime Fest, like the old like the conventions from the early 2000s, late 90s, because I was finally old enough to leave the house and not be going to church or school. So, but my first convention, working at a convention, like actually like being part of it in a way that goes beyond like I came, I bought some comic books, I went home. Activision was doing a promo for Ultimate Alliance 2. Yes, the Marvel comic books video game that was based on Civil War. And I saw an ad on good old Craigslist looking for comic book nerds who wanted to who knew a lot about Marvel. And I am obsessed with Marvel comics. So that was super great. And I actually hadn't cosplayed yet. I was just there to talk about Marvel Comics and to just like promote the game and get people really interested in it and like explain why it was so good. And being that kind of perspective, getting to see what it was like to, you know, to work at a convention for a company is what made me think this could be like a job. Like you could actually do stuff like this. Like you could actually like contribute to culture in a way that I hadn't thought was possible for someone like me. Cause I don't know how to like, at the time, I'd never really written a story. I'd never really like drawn anything. And getting to be behind the scenes and seeing how much fun the cosplayers were having was what made me go, maybe I should do that. Maybe next year I'll be like a character or something. Like that would be cool. And I said to myself, I haven't sewn anything since I was like 12, and I made like a pillow for like, you know, or whatever. It can't be that hard. I can do that. Narrator, you could not do that. I was so bad at it. Oh my God. That costume was hideous. It was a hot mess. But the most important thing is that people were super nice to me, and it made me want to keep cosplaying. I made so many friends in 2010. My first year, I think it's my first year cosplaying, and it made me think that this is like a worthwhile use of my time, like getting better at sewing, getting better at armor, because you get to meet so many cool people. And believe it or not, dear listeners, I used to be a very shy little wallflower, but getting to go to a con and wear a costume where people could look at her and go, oh, she likes X-Men. I like X-Men too. We're going to be homies. This is going to be easy. Like it just got you right out of your shell so much faster than like anything else I'd ever experienced. It really made me like think that I could have a community here. Like I made so many friends. It was amazing. So cosplay is really what got me to be the person that I am now, because of how nice everyone was back in 2010-ish at New York Comic Con. Yeah. So,
and she's been planting gardens ever since.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
I do want to talk about that, because there are days I'm scrolling through Tumblr and I'll see the interaction that you had with that one individual about your Dora Milaje cosplay. Please,
one dude.
Tell the viewers, please tell the viewers.
He looked like a hot mess. I know he regretted ever fixing his face to say a doggone thing. That was just a foolishness and a disaster. Like it was really, really funny. So long story short, I have a disability that is a mobility impairment, which means that it's hard to walk or stand for long periods of time. And a lot of times with my costumes, I'll figure out a way to like, you know, to make it work and to have mobility devices that help me. So if I'm using my wheelchair, maybe you can decorate it to make it look fancy to go with your costume. If I'm going to cosplay a character who's a magic user, my staff is going to be weighted, so it can be a cane in disguise. I cosplay Namor, you know, the Submariner, King of Atlantis, and my trident was dope. Like it was real metal, so I could use it to lean on. And when I did Dora Milaje, it's pretty simple. They have spears. So make a staff weapon, make a spear, do something that you can use to like still be in character and still feel strong and powerful, but also not fall on your face because your joints don't work sometimes. Like it's pretty simple. And people will see pictures of you and think, oh, you can't be sick because look at you, you're standing up. I'm like, mobility issues do not mean that you have to be sitting down all the time. It means that you may have difficulty and you may have to like figure out when you can take breaks, but it doesn't mean that everyone who's disabled is completely paralyzed. And if they are, that's their business. Like they can decide what kind of accommodations they need to get through the day. It's not for people who don't know them to be like, oh, well, if you're disabled, this is how you're supposed to be. I'm like, disability is a whole spectrum, like everything else. It's a spectrum. So you can't tell me that my disability is just not what you think it should be. So this person saw my Dora Milaje cosplay and saw that I had hair because I was cosplaying Nakia, who is Lupita Nyong'o, who actually is not a Dora Milaje, but as Shuri says, it's armor. Put it on. So you can do that particular version of the character if you don't want to do a bald cap or if you have hair and you don't want to shave it or whatever. So I did her, but I had the staff weapon because I didn't want to fall on my face. And so this guy just said he was gonna be like, oh, your costume is super inaccurate. I don't know why Marvel featured you, but because you got the thing or whatever. And I was like, well, honestly, I have the weapon because I don't want to fall over or whatever, but that's like not even your business. And he's like, well, you didn't have to say anything. I'm like, so you're going to come at me for my costume being inaccurate and then tell me that I didn't have to say anything when you're the one who started with me. So I was like, I didn't say anything for you. I said it for the people who are looking at these comments, because it's like when you plant a flower in the dirt. You don't care about the dirt, the flower is there for other people. So leaving a comment when someone is being shitty to you that speaks to the people who are watching, because they might be that shy, nervous person who didn't have any friends or whatever and didn't want to cosplay, thinking, why should I cosplay? Everybody's assholes out here. Oh, wait, but this asshole looks stupid because Jay came back at him. So it kind of empowers other people when you stand up for yourself. And so that's why I do it, because I'm like, why not? I don't care about every person who's going to talk shit about me in my costume. I'm here for people who just want to have a good time and be part of the community. So that's
I've always
that's
said,
the story.
other people's opinions of you is none of your business.
Exactly.
And I every time I see it, I'm just like, good for her. Good for her. I am proud of you. I am proud of you for sticking it to him. Proud of you for sticking it to him. He deserved it. So you are going to these conventions, you are networking, you are doing your thing. So you obviously got into Marvel. What drew you to Marvel?
Ooh, okay. So I would say that Marvel has a really great combination of interesting characters that go through their own kinds of oppression, and they have a lot of diverse characters as well. I think that the company as a whole could do more to have more people behind the scenes visualized, but they have a very good spread of characters on the pages that are either people of color or they're from different countries. Like, I think that because Marvel, when I was growing up, the leader of the Avengers was a Black woman. Like, Monica Rambeau was the Captain Marvel, was the leader of the Avengers. That definitely made me go, okay, I want to be a Marvel person. I'm Marvel. Like, this is it. Like, DC had some stuff, but it wasn't as good. And like right now, Marvel is killing the live action game, and DC is kind of like, we got Shazam. Shazam is like my favorite live action DC movie right now, because as someone who spent a lot of time in Philly, because Philly is just 2 hours away, you'll be there before you know it. It felt like Philly, even though it was filmed in Canada, but they did a good job of giving it that Philly vibe and giving you a relatable main character who wasn't the cheesy Boy Scout in blue, or like, I mean, like it was really, really good. And I know I say that, like, it's easy to make fun of Superman.
Yep, you stopped. You stalled out on me. Oh no, Jay. Oh, come back to me, Jay. Oh dear. Oh goodness. Hold on. This is the part where I get to vamp. Yes, I do wholeheartedly agree with Jay on a number of issues. DC does need to be a little bit more, could definitely be a little bit more diversified. And Marvel really is. Marvel's killing it with the Marvel is killing it with the live action. Oh,
Sorry, I'm fixing it right now.
It's all right.
I'm like,
No, I was going to say Marvel's killing it with the live action movies. I know that DC is doing okay with their comic sales. I know DC is doing okay with their animated division, but some of their
animated has always been consistently good. Like the live action, the animated Harley Quinn is great.
Yes, the live action, the animated Harley Quinn show was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. I'm so sorry about the Wi-Fi. I don't know what happened.
It's okay. Christopher Jones actually said she angered the Warner Brothers gods.
I did. They came for me. Chris would know about that.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Oh no!
Chris actually said, "Hey, there's two of my favorite, two people I adore," and Blake Keith Rose gave
thanks,
3
Chris.
hearts. We love Chris.
All right, I'm gonna close that. Did a quick Twitter promo, and we're good. Okay.
So it's quite all right. You are more than fine. I am nonplussed. So I actually, before we even continue the conversation, I have to apologize to my viewers because last week I was supposed to have a Joke on, and we were going to be discussing Solude cosplays, but my power was out, so I was unable to have a show last week. But I'm hopeful to have her on next week. So be on the lookout for that. So moving forward, you are going to these conventions, you are making all of these connections, you are networking, you are doing the thing. How did you end up becoming a consult to convention
Oh, right.
yeah, how did you become a consult?
Okay, so ironically, my first gig was technically a consulting gig because they wanted someone who could consult on a topic. So you can consult on a perspective or a topic. So with Marvel Ultimate, what was it, Ultimate Alliance 2, they wanted someone who could consult on the comic books versus the video game. They wanted someone who could talk about how the adaptation worked and like whether it was true to the books or not, and it was. And then later on, I'm really trying to remember what my first. This is 10 years, so I'm trying to remember what my first consulting gig like on paper was, and I honestly can't remember. I can tell you what my first like big one was because I've done a few smaller ones leading up to it. I'm sure you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons and like role-playing games and all that kind of stuff. The Adventure Zone is a podcast by the McElroys where it's a family playing, their own version of role-playing tabletop stuff, and they basically recorded themselves doing it. It became really popular to the point where they were talking about making like a graphic novel based on their first their first season of playing the game. And they said that they want fans to feel like their headcanon is valid, because when you're hearing a podcast you can kind of imagine what these elves and dwarves and characters look like, but for a graphic novel there must be a canonical appearance. You have to decide what skin tones everyone going to be, like where they're going to be from, and it's a fantasy world, so you want to believe that it doesn't matter what skin tone somebody is. But because of racism, they were concerned that they were going to accidentally propagate a negative stereotype because the character's name was Taco, and they made lots of taco jokes, but they're a bunch of white guys. So they want to make sure that they're being sensitive. But their Mexican fans were like, no, we love the taco jokes. You guys did a great job. It's actually really well done and friendly and upbeat. And you can tell it's from love. There was no, in my opinion, after going over all the source material, there was no racism in here. They just wanted to have fun with it. So I said, make Taco brown. Brown is not a race. He's still an elf. He can just be brown. It's fine. And I think that having at least one brown character in your cast of characters is just going to be good. Like, I don't see a reason why not, unless you're hiding from racist people, in which case don't change your work to make racists happy. That's terrible. No.
Do not recommend.
What kills me, they actually made him green instead. They wanted to avoid any kind of like appearance of badness, even though people from the demographic that you think you're offending are not offended. And I always say, listen to the person who's affected by what you think is prejudice before anybody else. It's like how white people will swear up and down that a black girl in a kimono is being racist, but Japanese people are like, kimonos are for everybody. Come to Japan, buy one. We'll help you get dressed. It's about cultural diffusion, not cultural appropriation. You're not.
I was going to say it's cultural appreciation versus cultural appropriation.
Yes, exactly. And so I think that kind of concern is ridiculous. You should always listen to the people who are from that community before anybody else. And so they did end up making a different character brown. They decided, well, this one's a sun dwarf, so him having a tan makes sense. Like, yeah, that's fine. So at least there is diversity in it. So I think they did a good choice for them. But I personally would have been like, everybody black. Let me tighten this tripod. Everybody black. The whole thing just falls over. Oh no.
I mean, as someone who has grown up in a predominantly white area, I'm talking about myself personally. I'm always.
I know.
I'm
from the Bronx. Like,
I mean, I was born in Brooklyn, but even my neighborhood was either Italian, it was Russian, it was Jewish. By the late 90s, it started to become more Asian, more Mexican. There were definitely a lot more. It was definitely becoming more diversified by the time I had left. And because I've been living in that area, also, growing up, you notice there's not a lot of like fully black casts. Like there was growing up, I remember there was 227, there was Family Matters, there was there was Living Single, there was Like
Mhm.
I started to see more of these
AKA
these
the
shows.
original Friends.
Of course, Living Single, the original Friends. Yeah, please. I have opinions on Friends, and they're not all good ones.
The weird whitewashed New York City that couldn't come up with one black cast member. Or like one non-white cast member. Like anyone who's been to New York knows that Friends and Seinfeld are not it.
No. There is a lot. There's a lot more. There's a lot more Friends.
So weird.
So growing up, I didn't see a lot of. I saw some, but I did not see a lot of. And I want to see, in 2021, I want to see more shows like Blackish. I want to see more shows like Off the Boat. I want to see shows where there's a predominantly minority cast. And that, yeah, I agree with that. I do.
I'm so over the word minority because when you think about it, it's not true.
It's not true anymore.
That's why I always say marginalized person, because just because somebody's in the margin doesn't mean that's where they belong or that they should be there or that like there is somehow less of them. I think the big fear in this country is that, oh no, there's going to be an uprising and all the non-whites are going to take over everything. Like, I don't know why they think equality means that you're going to be treated the way you treat everybody else. That's not what equality means. It means everyone's going to get an equal opportunity to have success and to not be like pushed down because of what kind of like space they occupy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like people think that
it's about equity. It's about social equity. Like you want to see the same happen for someone who's black. You want to see the same thing happen for someone who's gay. You want to see the same, like you want to see that. You don't want to see, oh well, they're doing better than I am. Like that idea of someone doing better than you seems to like instill fear into the hearts of white people. And it's like
this
no,
weird competitive existence.
Yeah, like that's not what it's about. Don't
so
make it about that. So yes. So you started with your big one was D&D. You can definitely talk about more of what you've done since then. I'm also noticing
so much fun stuff. So that was really great.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I would literally two different thoughts at the same time.
Two different thoughts at the same time. It's I hate when that happens. Oh.
It's completely and totally fine. I speak out of both sides of my mouth. I was mentioning definitely talk more about that, and then I was like, oh, let's also talk about RGAA. Then I'm like, oh wait, there's also this armor behind you. Let's talk about that.
There's a lot. Oh, we'll do the armor last because it's a really fun like lead into what I'm currently working on.
Perfect. I'm a big fan of that.
So I've done some really great romance novels, which like made me so happy because a lot of times, like I don't know if you know this, but romance is like one of the biggest genres there are. Like romance novels have been around since like our grandmas were reading books when they were young. Like it's one of those ignored parts of publishing that people should really look at because like it's a huge industry and there's so many interesting stories. Like there's romance that's like got a sci-fi backdrop or a fantasy backdrop. Of course, the cowboy romance. I'm sure you've heard a few of those.
I'm friends with a couple of the models that are on those book covers.
yes. The billowing tops and the sea air, like all that stuff. Like, the dashing pirates. Yeah. I love romance books. They're so great. And a lot of times they kind of have a little bit of a similar take to them. But I think that it's really interesting to have different main characters. Like it's not always going to be the same stereotypical one. And I got to do an edit on one where the main the main love interest was an Asian American man. And I'm like, okay, for some reason, people are sleeping on Asian dudes as being the lead in a romance. Like, I don't know why, because they are amazing. Like, what? It's just, it's stereotyping and racism nonsense. And the love interest was a really, really cool character. And then the other character, like kind of your POV character, was a disabled black girl who's a huge nerd. And I'm like, it's me. So they wanted me to read the story and to make sure that she was written like correctly and like they didn't use any inappropriate terms, like because she's a wheelchair user who lives by herself and is super independent and runs her own like nerd empire. So she's cooler than me, sadly. But like, yeah, she was really amazing. And the story was so good. And I was like, okay, I want to do more like this. This is fantastic. I've done some really great science fiction ones that haven't been published yet, but they will be soon. I cannot wait to promote them because they're fantastic. And people are having more fun with the idea of why can't the main character be disabled? I think that people are forgetting that disabled doesn't mean that you can't like tell a story or that you can't like exist as a single person or like have independence or like just do anything. So I love the fact that there's like, you know what? If you think a thriller is interesting because like, you know, the main actress or character is like, you know, a hot chick, having her be a hot chick who's like Oracle from Batman, who's like just kicking ass and taking names while being in a wheelchair while controlling everything around her, like that's still a compelling story. So I'm doing much of those. And I've been getting so much more into video games because it's just a great way to escape from like all of this. Like, you know,
and you know, for every romance novel, there's a video game now, I'm noticing. There's, I swear, I was, just because of the sheer amount of gaming consoles there are out there, there is a story for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's fabulous. I love every second of it. Like, of course, you're going to have your main stage. You're going to have your Marios, your Sonics, your Bayonettas, your Zelda. You're going to have all of these things. Mind you, most of them are from Nintendo, but that's besides the point.
I can tell which one's your favorite. You're not fooling anybody.
But it's also so fascinating because I do have a PlayStation. And I'm like, I'll sometimes scroll through the games and I'm like, there are so many games. There are so many. There was a game called I Am Bread.
I don't know about that one.
It is literally called I Am Bread, and I'm like, who came up with this? But that's the beauty of the creative world. There are so many facets of it, and I want more. I want more diversity in those fields.
Now, there's a cool thing called indie games. So if you can stray from Nintendo for a bit, we live in an age where it's so easy to make your own video game that you can go out and just do it yourself. And people who are developers are just starting out like on their own at home, like out here making video games. It's kind of amazing. So if you want something that's more diverse, I've got some recommendations for you. Have you heard of visual novel?
I have heard of visual novel.
Okay, so you know that there are video game types where it's literally about the story and you get to click through and you get to make decisions, and like it's a video game that you can play on your computer. You don't even need a console for it. And there's so many like free to play ones where if you want to donate a couple dollars to the developers to get some fun DLC, you can do that. I like this one company that started by some amazing lesbians from New Hampshire. It is called Astrolore Gaming, and they have 2 excellent visual novels out right now. I do think they're working on additional ones, but the ones that are playable are really interesting, where you get to make your own character and you can decide what skin tone, what race, gender, hair type, whatever. And they have, I think one of the games has like 14 different pronouns. So if you're a non-binary and you want to play as yourself, you're going to be having the most immersive experience.
I'm very excited for these. I'm excited for these build your own adventure games to start becoming more and more into vogue. I love that. Like every time I see an advertisement for it, I was just like, "Oh, this is cute. Maybe I should invest in this. This sounds absolutely amazing." And it's just,
I'm gonna go ahead and post the link in the comments for people who want to check it out for sure. Because that was really fun. Please do. And then you're supporting independent, developers, and you're, giving them feedback on their games so they can do better. And like, I just think it's a win-win for everybody, honestly. Supporting the small creators is really what kind of keeps the industry going, because we can't all be out here spending $70 on a new game every month, but you can play some free ones on itch.io. So
they are offensively expensive. I say to myself, were Sega games this expensive years ago? Like, did they charge $100 some odd dollars?
I didn't have a job back then. I was like, a kid. So that's why you only got one game per year on Christmas. And if you were very lucky, you got one on your birthday. But if your birthday was too close to Christmas, no. That's one pay period. Mama said no.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Let me get the Vicks on there. Get the Vicks.
Oh yeah, it's all coming up. It's all coming up. It's Diana Ross. I'm coming out.
Oh no.
So you're doing these consults for gaming and literature and conventions and whatnot. We definitely can talk about your work with Cosplay LGBTHQ.
Oh, okay. So LGBTHQ, the hub for all things Comic-Con. providing promotion, marketing, and support for queer comic book creators, gaming developers, anyone in the LGBTQIA plus spectrum who is out here trying to create the work. We're here to help support your work. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit. I mean, it hit everybody really hard. But with LGBTQ, our work was so focused on conventions that are not safe to attend right now that I was like, we should go on hiatus. We should take a look at how we can better serve the community in this new climate. And not to be like TMA or like to talk anyone's business, but the leadership for LGBTQ, including myself, was going through a lot of personal crises. And it's like, it's detrimental to your health to force yourself to keep working when you have things that you need to take care of, and you're not going to be able to serve the community to your best ability if you're not handling your business. So I was like, people will understand if we need to take time off, because everyone is trying to take time off right now. Like it's really hard. And until we can figure out how we can best help the community without conventions, there's no point in trying to continue generating content, because like you're squeezing the sponge is dry. It has not rained in a year. There's no moisture in here.
We're all feeling the drought. We are all feeling the drought. Yep.
And like, as someone who, cosplaying is my primary content, I'm sorry for people who follow me and want to see more costumes, like, because I have not been able to finish anything since the pandemic started. Like, I was on my usual like ram. I think I did like 10 costumes a year until like last year, and then I was just like, I'm tired, y'all.
Yep.
I'm tired.
Been there.
And I started doing some streaming. I was streaming costume making on Twitch for a few months, and I might go back to that. Let me not lie, I'm gonna go back to that because I have costumes I want to finish. But what really drives me to costume is to be with my friends, and I can't. And so making things and then not having anywhere to wear them, it just kind of makes me sad. So yeah, it does. It makes me sad.
No. The only reason I'm laughing is because I am doing the same thing. Like since the summer, I've made myself a few outfits for a B. Arthur related project, because of course. And towards the end of the year, I was like, well, what if I made myself an outfit that stretches? What if I made myself another outfit that's a little more structured that I can take in or let out depending on the fluctuation of my own weight? And it's really one of those things where I'm like, but where am I wearing these? When am I going to have a photo shoot in these things? When am I going to have the opportunity to get into these things?
Costumes, like, I guess that's the time. Because it's not happening this year.
It really is fascinating to see what each individual person is going through. That, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of photographers saying, well, what are we going to do? Katsucon was supposed to be this week and it's not happening anymore. What do we do?
I've seen folks selling their cameras to pay the rent. It's hard out here.
Wow.
I don't blame anybody. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Cons are not coming back for a while. If you got to pay the rent, sell the camera. I hope you can get a new one on Black Friday, because I personally am immunocompromised and I can't take vaccines because they don't work for me.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not going anywhere.
Regardless,
over.
It's definitely going to be a while before a convention happens where we all feel safe to return to it. Yeah. It's sad. It's really one of those sad things. I also keep on seeing that article where it's like, before COVID, anime conventions were the big thing, and now like COVID is destroying conventions, and it's just like, why you gotta don't shit in my Cheerios. There's enough in there already. Just stop.
I think that convention they forgot something. Fandom predated conventions. Fandom is the reason conventions exist. There will always be fandom, and therefore the exact specific convention may not happen, but a convention will happen. And I think that each community individually is going to support the type of convention that they want to see. And because there is no impetus right now, because there's no rush to do a convention, unless you're in Florida, rest in pieces. But like, I think that people.
Yep. Lost her again.
Okay, here we go. People need to stop worrying about specific conventions not being able to stay alive and start worrying about just keeping yourself safe. Because the most important thing right now is not corporations or conventions or industry. It is human lives. And we're looking past that. We're not thinking about the real goal here, which is to keep as many people with us as possible through this pandemic. Never mind what con we're going to go to or who you're going to get pictures with. Like, stay alive. That's all you got to do. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to stay alive. Survive.
Your
That's
mission,
it.
if you choose to accept it. But it's
I'm
true.
really tired of people looking past what matters. Like, what really matters is that you're here. Never mind what con you're going to or what costume you're wearing. Your life is what's important. Priorities, man.
There was a cosplayer
You see these
popular
cosplayers, somebody with like 100,000 likes or whatever at some con in Florida. I'm like, why? You're not going to be any less popular for staying home. What is wrong with you? Like, I don't get it.
There was a conversation that was had where it's like, can we maybe not like shit on people that go to conventions? And it's like, no, they should be held accountable. They're putting their lives and they're putting the lives of others in jeopardy. Yes, they should absolutely be held accountable. There shouldn't be any like, shh, we don't talk about them. They did their thing. We're okay with that. No, we're not okay with that.
I should check that earlier. That's why I kept cutting off. I was on the wrong network. I'm like, no. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's not that we're okay. This is a good example of people saying that you're being too hard on folks who are risking lives and going to cons during a pandemic. Don't kink shame this guy for being a cannibal. That's not a kink. That is not a kink. Calling the police on you for eating folks is not kink shaming. And telling people to not go to conventions during a pandemic is not being hard on them. It is telling them, hey, you need to value human lives more than you value a good time. That's it. There's no drama in that. There's no
in between on it. There's no in between.
No, it's non-negotiable. And there are so many other things that you can do with your time besides go to a convention. Like, why don't you go home and learn how to sew instead of wearing your hot glue mess out here at the con? This is the year for you to level up your skills. I'm not trying to be like LLC Twitter, like, oh no, you got to get it together. You can't take time. You got to get your life together and go start a business. You don't have to do all of that. Like, take time for yourself and like chill and like regenerate and everything else. But also, if you were up to it, maybe take a half hour a day and figure out something else besides going out and coughing on people. Like, I'm just, oh man. Like, play some video games. As we said, video games are great. They're safe.
Yes, they are. They're safe.
They're wonderful.
You're able to just yes. sit down, focus on the screen, and not be bothered to anybody.
It's wonderful. Speaking of, so the armor behind me, my pride and joy, that is Commander Shepard from Mass Effect 2, and I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. Anybody who knows me knows this.
I was going to say, you've definitely cosplayed a number of characters from Mass Effect.
Oh, yeah. I love Mass Effect. It's definitely a choose-your-own-adventure kind of game. It is science fiction-y. It is, you play as Shepard.
It's a first-person shooter, yes?
It is, but it's also an RPG. It's honestly primarily an RPG. And if you want, you can spec out your character that you never have to fire a gun. You can have your character just use biotic powers, which is basically a combo of telekinesis and like, what's another word? Like, you can like disintegrate somebody at the molecular level. So that goes beyond telepathy and more like Dark Phoenix on a bad day. Like, it's pretty fun. And you can also have your character be the kind of person who is super good at negotiating and persuading people. Kind of like how if you're playing D&D and you roll a 20 on persuasion, you can convince somebody to do anything. Shepard is like that, where if you put your points into charm, when you point out your character, you can have her talk somebody into just like completely laying down their weapons and not even fighting with you. And it's great. I love doing that. Or you can put your points into intimidate and you can be like, you don't want any of this. And you can like scare somebody.
And you can intimidate somebody to the point where
Yep. So I love it. I love it so much. It's such a great game. And it's a trilogy, which means that in each game, your actions dictate what will happen in the future. Like you're writing your own story as you're playing this game. It's really fantastic the way they did this. So that's why I love it so much. I'm just the biggest fan ever. And so earlier last year, before any of the big announcements happened, they reached out to me because they've seen my content and how I'm constantly talking about these games and how I cosplay and everything else. and they were like, we are looking for, what they say, a few good men, or in this case, a few good people, to be part of a community council to help us with like feedback and like information and like just giving us more like to work on with making a remaster of the original trilogy. And it's been over 10 years since the first Mass Effect game came out. And they want to update the graphics, they want to update like the sound and the play experience, but keep the story, the best story that you remember. And I'm like, I'm here for it, absolutely. Like it was never even a question.
Where do I sign? Where do I sign? Where do I sign?
Yeah. So, and I have not been able to talk to anybody about this for months. And so I'm just so excited. They finally said, okay, we're going to have a big press conference and the embargo will be lifted. You can talk about it. So I've just been telling everybody, I've been telling the birds in the trees outside, like, did you know about Mass Effect? And it's not a marketing development part. It's just game development. So they're not paying me to talk about how good the game is. I'm like, y'all wasn't paying me before. But like, it's one of those things where they want you to just have your honest opinion. And my honest opinion is that this is going to be fantastic. So if you've played Mass Effect before and you want to play this game again, it's going to be the same game you remember, but it's going to be beautiful. Like it'll feel like 2021 graphics. Like everything's in 4K and it's fantastic, but it's the same characters and storylines and the same beautiful gay and lesbian, like all the fun stuff. I love it. I love it so much. The one thing I would change, if they had a way of making your character have they, them pronouns, it'd be perfect. But it was a remaster, not a remake. So they're not going to add new dialogue. But what they did do is add more hairstyles and more skin tones. So your character can actually be as dark as I am and not like have to be light skinned because somehow they forgot to put brown on the color wheel. That wasn't a problem in Mass Effect. It was in Dragon Age. That's a whole other story. God, please, Lord Jesus, if they remaster Dragon Age, can somebody call me? Because I have to talk to these people about there is just not enough brown skin in this game. But yeah,
and they will do.
So fantastic.
I am sure they will. You will pitch your hat into that. Game.
Oh, you know it. They're gonna have to drag me out the door. Like it's like when you love something, you just want it to be better. You know, you just want it to be the best that it possibly can be. You want it to be fully accessible. I need to have closed captions in 28-point font. I need there to be color blindness options. I need there to be haptic feedback. So if you are hard of hearing and you don't hear the enemy coming, you can feel it in the controller. You know what I mean? Like, and these are things that game studios can do. And it doesn't take that much time. They just don't know that people need this. So somebody has to tell them, okay.
I was going to ask you, like, how do you approach these companies and say, hey, we need to make this more accessible to people who are disabled. We need to make this more. So how you need to do this because there are people out there that want to be able to access this who are unable to because of their disabilities.
Right, exactly. And the thing is that people forget video games are made to be playable. And by adding more inputs and adding more options to your game, you're literally just making it so that you have a bigger customer base. It's a win-win. You're selling more games, you're making the game better. And even if you aren't hard of hearing or you aren't like with low vision, having feedback in the game in a way that like helps you understand what's happening better, it's just going to make the experience more enjoyable. Like you can't tell me the first time you held a controller and it vibrated when the enemy landed, that wasn't like, oh, like it really, right? It's good for everybody. Like just the way the ground shakes when you hear you're like, oh. It's such a good feeling. It really is. Like, so I just feel like there's no wrong choice here. And you've seen, I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the gaming awards recently have been spotlighting people who had more accessible games. Like The Last of Us had hired more accessibility because, like myself, they've hired
Last
people who do similar things.
Last of Us won so many awards for their
because they listened, because they made an effort to improve their game. And the first game was already quite good, but like they really stepped it up.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, they did. They knocked it completely and totally out of the ballpark. So I have to ask. So the name of this episode is RGAA.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
There's a reason for that. Jay and my darling friend D'Manda Martini host a live stream on Twitch. They host a live stream on Twitch called Rusty Gay Ass Art. Please tell me all about it.
Okay, so D'Manda and I have been super tight ever since D'Manda won Captain Green Lantern, which is the LGBTHQ pageant that we have, looking for people who are in the queer community who want to do more work within the community at conventions and doing panels and stuff with us. And D'Manda is just so talented and so amazing. And we just talk for fun. Like, we're not even working anymore. Like, that's how you know somebody's not a coworker; they're a friend. When you talk to them, when there's no events happening, we just want to chill with each other. And so I had said to D'Manda, cosplay has just felt so hard for me to do during this pandemic that I don't really want to make costumes anymore. But I kind of miss drawing. I haven't drawn anything since I was like 13 years old in the studio art class, and the teacher was like, "Have you thought about the choir, honey? You can't really draw." Yeah, I had the meanest teacher.
Oh my God, that's so insensitive.
I got chased out of art class and told to go join the choir because maybe my skills would be more useful there. So, but still, art is for fun. It doesn't have to be approved by anybody. It's just for fun. So I was like, D'Manda, do you draw at all? And she was like, I haven't drawn in a long time. I'm like, me either, girl. But you know what? Wouldn't it be fun if we did? Like, maybe we could do like an art. We could draw together. We could cheer each other on, and we could make a thing out of it. And people can watch us draw. And she's like, well, what would we call it? And I was like, we call it what it is: rusty, gay ass art. And so that's what we usually do every Tuesday at 8:00. But we took a night off because, let's face it, we were both kind of tired. D'Manda's home right now, not in drag, just chilling, probably eating some bonbons and reading X-Men comics.
I was, when you said that you both were doing this, I was like, why did I just have both of you on? But then I'm like, I already had D'Manda on. I could always have D'Manda on again later. I would love to have the both of you on at the same time.
Oh, that would be so fun.
That would be too fun.
Because we would get on, and the whole first hour would be D'Manda talking about X-Men and me going,
Yes! Oh my goodness. Every time D'Manda posts something to her stories, I'm like, oh my goodness, you do love your X-Men. You love your X-Men.
Every time I see anything X-Men, I think, ooh, let me send it to D'Manda. Wait, who shared this? Oh, it was D'Manda.
It was D'Manda who shared it. Oh my goodness, that is fabulous.
For those of you guys who don't watch my channel, if you want to see my sketchbook, I have some of my drawings. Hold on. Let's see. Some of these are like they're gifts for people, so I'm not going to show the ones that they don't know that I've drawn yet. I think this is my very first one. I drew my little paladin from Dungeons and Dragons.
Hold it up closer. Hold it up closer. Hold on. Wait. Don't do anything. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to try it.
Okay, so my first one, I gave her pockets, so I don't have to draw hands.
Of course.
The next one I did, hold on, let me see. One that I can show you guys that's like, not a surprise gift for somebody. It's actually finished. Okay, if you recognize this person, don't say who they are because you know them. Oh wait, no, I won't show that one. I'll show this one is not based on a real person. Well, kind of. Wonder Woman.
Wow.
That's what wonderful. I draw on my art stream. I gave her pockets. And I love that. I drew each star individually and drove myself crazy because I did it by hand. These are all like pencil sketchings. And so if I had done this on like an actual computer, I could have just copied and pasted the stars.
You could have just copied and paste. Yep. Benefits of technology, man.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, coming from you, that means a lot because you're an actual artist and I am not. I'm just having a good time. Yeah, I think the Wonder Woman one is my favorite that I've drawn so far. That wasn't based on a person. Because I have one. Hold on, I might show off this one. Where is it? It's not bad. Trying to see.
I'm going to start giving all my characters pockets. Good, Chris, you should.
Why not? Like, literally, why not?
Shelly says, I always miss that stream because of class, so I'm glad to see some of these now.
Oh, yeah. I've been trying to have them be, like, surprise things for my Patreon so people can, like, but I'll post them all eventually. Let's see. Ooh, yes, I love this one. I did not quite finish it, but it's still pretty cute. Can you tell who it is?
I can.
It's a surprise. And then this one is another one of my friends that I love. I think I want to scan this and do it on a computer because you can show more texture.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really hard to draw a white afro, let me tell you, because you can't do too much shading in it with like a pencil.
Yeah.
Yes, Chris, give them all pockets. I want to see every Teen Titans character with pockets, please. Every Young Justice character with pockets. Pockets for everybody. There are no pockets in my Miss Martian costume, and I'm ashamed. I really should have put pockets in there.
Trust me, every time I'm done with the costume, I'm like, I really should have put pockets in that because I'm gonna have to. Where am I gonna put it? Where am I going?
One benefit of being a wheelchair user. I can carry my whole house with me. I'm spoiled now. What do I need a purse for?
Oh my goodness gracious. So this is I am so happy that I asked you to be on tonight.
I'm happy too.
You are just such a wonderful person to have a conversation with. And I one of the reasons why I do the show, and I've said it a number of times, is just because I love having conversations with people that I've never actually had to have I've never had a physical conversation with this person. And I just love being able to do that.
So Chris Jones just weirded me out because he points something out that's very obvious. Miss Martian can manifest pockets wherever she wants them. Shapeshifter. I'm like, so that's her putting things inside her skin. That's gross. That's really gross. Ew. I forgot about that. Like Mystique, when Mystique has pockets, that's just her putting something inside her own skin. So gross.
It reminds me of that one image. Who shared it? I think it was JC who shared it. He posted a picture of a toe or a foot that had a blister pocket in it, and there were Tic Tacs in the blister pocket. And I'm like, this is disgusting. This is absolutely hideous. This is absolutely hideous. Why am I seeing this?
How did we get here? Nobody wants to be here. Oh God.
Oh my goodness gracious. So I'm curious. We still have some time. I'm curious about LGBTHQ. I know Michael. It is Michael. I'm Michael Levine.
No, it is not.
It is not. Oh well, I'm incriminating myself.
I'm waiting to see where this is going.
I'm just fascinated how LGBT headquarters came to be. That's it. Just very,
I will tell you the story.
Very easy.
Did you attend the very first FlameCon?
I did not, and I have been told by so many people you need to do it. Like yes, you need to just go and do FlameCon.
Oh, you've never been to any FlameCons?
I've never been to any FlameCon.
Wow. Okay, you were there.
You have no idea. I'm bitterly disappointed at myself.
All right. Well, hopefully next time you can make it. I've been a guest at almost every single one. I missed one because I was a guest at another convention on the other side of the country and couldn't make it. But the very first FlameCon, I was actually an assistant to a wonderful lesbian comic book creator. Oh my gosh, what is her name? I'm sorry, homegirl, I forgot. It's been a minute. But anyway, I was there supporting her. And I saw another, queer person across the way who didn't really know what they were doing in terms of setting up their table and everything. And I was like, you know what? I can be an assistant to two people. I don't know this fellow, but he looked like he needs some help. And, me being my friendly self, just tried to help the person out. And he was like so appreciative. They took me out for dinner afterwards. And we talked about what kind of presence, he'd like to have at conventions in the future and how he can do better. And I was like, well, with table space, you should definitely build up, because if you have everything down on the floor, you can't really see it. People don't know what you're doing. It looks like you're handing out pamphlets, like what's going on. And I was talking to him for a while, and that person was Matthew Levine. And my partner, Tony Ray, Matthew and myself actually created the idea of LGBTHQ based on what kind of presence we'd like to have, because we really enjoyed the FlameCon atmosphere and how like inclusive and welcoming it was for the most part. Because you know how it is, whenever you're in any kind of space, there's always going to be a bit of a marginalization depending on, like, let's say it's an LGBT space, it's super queer friendly. Even within queer spaces, there is biphobia, there is transphobia, there is ableism, because it was in a historically preserved building. And the elevator was one of those old accordion elevators that would get stuck
Mhm.
between floors, and there was no air conditioning, and it was August in Brooklyn. Someone passed out at the X-Men panel. It was bad.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really bad. So we were like, okay, we love FlameCon for the most part. How can we bring the FlameCon vibe to other conventions? So LGBTHQ was our effort at making a queer space that would be queer friendly and not transphobic and not ableist, because I'm not going to be part of any organization that's not doing everything they can be to be as inclusive as possible.
yeah.
And I don't care if, oh, but this building has the most affordable space for rent, but it's not accessible. Well, then we're going to spend more money to make sure that everybody can get in here. Because I don't want to hear that someone in a wheelchair couldn't get to the con, or I don't want to hear that somebody broke their back trying to carry 6 boxes of comic books up 2 flights of stairs. Like, when I see comic book stores that don't have an elevator, I'm like, are you trying to get your employees killed? And you know exactly which ones I'm talking about.
I do.
Stores,
I've frequented a few of those, and I'm like, this is not conducive.
No, I haven't stepped foot in a bunch of those since I became like, I've been disabled for like most of my life, but like being able to walk with a cane and slowly go upstairs versus I might die. Where's the elevator? Where's the ramp? Is like a very different experience. And people have asked me, I'm disabled. Should I move to New York? I'm like, no. There's 2 miles between each elevator on the subway. Like it's crazy. And then they don't even be working half the time. And you can check the website to make sure that it's working, and you get that, oh girl, it just broke. I was about to update the website. I'm like, I can't do it. Oh, terrible. Oh, so yeah, LGBTQ
Matthew Levine. That was a terrible faux pas on my part.
Oh, no worries. It's totally fine. The reason why I laugh is that this happens a lot.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
It's a common name.
I remember seeing the M, and I'm like, no, I've had a conversation with this person. We've exchanged words. I know him.
It's like confusing Sophie and Sophia. It's very similar.
Yes.
It's nothing personal. It happens. It's fine. Like, I get called Jane all the time. And ironically, I have a friend named ThatJayJustice, and we're not related. So I'm not offended. It's fine.
Okay, excellent. As long as you're not offended. Matthew, if you're watching, I do apologize, lovey. But yeah, so I'm curious how Green Lantern came to be a part
of. So Matthew is the brainchild behind that, but I can give you a little bit of backstory on it. Are you familiar with Skin Tight USA?
No.
Okay, no worries. Matthew used to run a nightlife company called Skin Tight USA, where he would rent out costumes for people to wear for like fun nightlife stuff. And he was very, very big in the queer like nightlife scene in New York City and New Jersey for like almost a decade prior to LGBTHQ. And he wanted to bring some of that fun to what LGBTHQ does. Oh no, my battery died!
Wow. I mean, I still hear you. You're still coming in clear.
You mean what? You know what's funny? The stream ends in like 1 minute.
Yep, the stream ends in literally
the camera almost made it.
Almost made it, kids. Almost made it.
It's okay. I have another camera. Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
It's fine. This is so hilarious. And it said battery exhausted on the screen too. You saw it.
It said battery exhausted on the screen.
How funny was that?
Yes, it did. It's live. It's live.
It's okay. I have another camera. I'm just gonna switch cameras in a second. I'm just gonna take it off it's actually the camera that's been the microphone this whole time. So this is why it's good to have a separate microphone from camera.
Always good to have a separate microphone.
My audio continued to work. God bless. Let me take this poor thing off of here. Okay. Well, it was streaming in 4K video the whole time, so it did its job. Good camera.
Yes, it did do its job. And I'm so sorry that I'm like blowing my nose, making a mess of myself.
It's okay. Everything is fine. Let me just charge this sucker. Ooh, this camera is warm. Goodness. But yeah, I'm getting another battery pack. So the next time I do this, I can just swap the battery out and we'll keep pushing. But in the meantime,
we'll just keep on keeping on.
Yes, I can continue to tell you about Green Lantern. So basically,
Donia Heyman says your camera is a mood.
It really is. It really is. Oh my gosh. Such a mood. Oh Lord. It's okay. We are gonna work this out.
We are
new
going
camera
to
on
be
there.
just fine.
We're gonna make it after all.
Oh, we're gonna toss the hair. Just toss the hat up into the air.
basically. All right. Okay. So I apologize. I'm trying to not like have everyone blinded by the weird angle of the camera. I'm trying to get it set up to be decent before we go live, but because we're already live, I have no idea how this is gonna look.
It's going to be a surprise for the both of us.
It really will be. Whew, okay. I got this.
And again,
that didn't work.
Just gonna put up your social medias.
Still not working. All right.
Nope, still not working.
Okay. But yeah, so Captain Green Lantern was a way of bringing in a new person to the LGBTQ team in a way that was a fun event and kind of having them contribute to like what we were already doing. Yeah. So I feel like it was fun for what it was, but I just wanted less of a pageant experience and more of a oh dear. Okay. We're almost good. I'm super sad. You're about to see the difference in quality between my two cameras, and you're about to be sad for me because remember how beautiful and crisp and like warm everything was with the other camera? So that one was a Sony A6000, and this is a Logitech C29 or whatever it's called. It's like, ay. Oh boy.
Christopher Jones says, "Behold the vengeance of Warner Brothers."
Literally, like I am paying for it out here. Ugh, gosh. I promise it's still the same person. I just don't look as nice because the camera isn't as good.
The camera's not as good.
No, it really isn't. Oh, mercy. Okay, and I just broke my phone stand at the same time. I'm trying to get it together, y'all. It's okay. It's not broken. It just needs to be like adjusted or whatever. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're gonna zoom in a little bit. That's too much. Oh boy. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I can stretch it a little bit. Oh no, what is happening?
I'm very excited to see what happens.
This is gonna be so tragic.
I'm almost tempted to just keep it running. Just keep it running.
Keep it running. Just keep it running. We'll see what happens. I have no idea. Okay, I'm gonna go live in 3, 2, 1. Boop. Did it work? What happened?
Yes, you look fine. What I would do is
I really did not know what was gonna happen there.
Just say you're looking forward to the Snyder Cut and everything will be fine.
Stop it, Chris! I can't stand you. Oh no.
Oh, Chris.
Oh Lord. Okay, let me look. Oh, it actually doesn't look that bad. Okay.
No, you don't look that bad at all.
Where did my name go? Oh, you moved it over there. Oh, okay, I see.
Yes, I moved it down to the bottom so everyone knows that they can find you.
The other camera was so nice.
It's fine. All it needs is a charge.
I know, but I'm looking. I did not realize how stark of a difference it was.
Yes, I get that.
Okay, so you see it too.
I understand.
It's so tragic. Now, okay, I think it's also the lighting looks different, even though I didn't change the lighting.
Yeah, it looks brighter. It looks brighter.
It's not bad. I think it was just it was like a warm filter or something, but I didn't put one on. It just came like that. It's weird. I do have those really cool Bluetooth lights though, so I can like make it brighter if I need to, or I can like change the color so it's fancy. Yes.
Fancy.
There's
I
some
only
fancy.
I only have my ring light. That's all I have.
Hold on, let's see. Is it working? I can't tell.
Now I'm trying to pay attention for any differences.
Yeah, that was too much. Too much.
It's way bright.
Way too bright. Way too bright. Come on, I feel like I'm cutting off my face. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit because now it's like hyper zoomed.
We've all been there.
Too dark. Too dark.
But hilariously enough, that was almost the same as when you were using the DLR.
Right? It's similar. Okay, hold on. That was like a weird orange. Oh no, now it's green. Ew.
Now it's green.
Sorry, we were having a good conversation, and then like my camera turning off just kind of killed the whole vibe.
It's live. We love when it's live.
That's live for you. Yep. Oh, tragic. So tragic.
So, last thing before we close, what is something that you want to see in comics, conventions, books, nerdery? Like, what do you want to see happen in the next year or so?
Okay, I want to see people being included because of the content they create. Not so much we got to fill a quota, we don't have any gays on this, but like, oh, this person is creating really good content. They happen to be gay, and we're not going to discriminate against them because of them being gay. We're going to include them because their work is good. Because people keep saying things like, oh, they just chose the best person for the job. I'm like, no, they chose the best white, straight, cis, able-bodied person for the job, and they didn't even consider hiring somebody outside of their usual circle of whoever they mess with. And that's why when, Activision said this whole thing about how they didn't want to have the Rooney rule of consider at least one person who is not a white man for this job. Just interview one. Just one. And they were like, no, that's too much. That's going to compromise the way we run our business. Yeah, no, they went on the record saying that was going to compromise how they ran their business. And I was like, that
is ugly.
That's a whole choice that y'all did, isn't it?
That is a choice. Choices were made. Bad ones, but choices were made.
And like, thank God that EA, who owns BioWare, that makes all my favorite stuff, was like, we already do that, but you know what? We're going to talk to our board of directors because we think that having diversity in the workplace is what makes us good. And I was like, it's that easy to make a statement that doesn't make you look like a bunch of idiots. Like,
Correct.
It's like, so how about we just follow the letter of the law? How about which is literally to interview people who deserve the job, not just your friends or just like people who look like you. And why don't we start judging people by the content of their work and not the color of their skin? Could be a possibility. That's what I like to see.
Could be a game changer.
Wouldn't it be nice? Oh man,
wouldn't it be nice?
Yep. So yeah, I feel like we're all doing the best we can to survive this pandemic nonsense, and we don't need extra things on top of that, making it even more difficult. So it would be really cool if we could just move past that, because I love looking at all the different Star Trek and like futuristic stuff where everyone is super equal, and now we're dealing with aliens. But I'm like, I cannot imagine humanity accepting aliens. We can't even accept each other. We are a long way from Starfleet.
My sentiments exactly.
We are so far from Starfleet. I just want to be a little closer to people seeing a Klingon walk in and not shoot him immediately. Like, and the part of me that makes these awful jokes is, well, is it a white Klingon or a black Klingon? Because a white Klingon might have a chance. Hold on.
Oh man, laugh to keep from crying, man. Laugh to keep from crying. But I have had a marvelous time having you on. You will be back. You will be back either on your own. You will be back with D'Manda. I am very excited to have a conversation with both of you.
Oh, thank you. I feel welcome.
Thank you so much again for being on my show. I am so in love with you. I really am.
Oh, you're so sweet. It's really nice to meet someone like you who is as good as their press.
Oh! As I said, it was funny before we went live. I was saying to Jay that we'd known each other for so long, but we had known each other prior to that. And I said our reputation preceded us because we ran in the same circles.
Yep.
But yes,
tons.
I think you are a piece of honest goods. I think you are a wonderful friend. I think you are a wonderful human being, and I'm excited to see what you come up with this year.
Oh, thank you. I'll try not to let you down.
You won't. But thank you again so much for being on my show. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in next week for another episode of Catt Chat. Ciao me out for now, guys. Bye.
Bye.